Thank you so much. I just want to thank the organizers for the invitation that they extended to me, instead of extending the same to those who are in active service. Some of us are enjoying ourselves now. The program is in my hands. I do what I want at any time. But anyway, thank you. Once a pastor, always a pastor. And to Pastor Simankane, my very own son in the faith, you should never ask your own son to introduce you, because they'll, want to make you look bigger than what you really are. I am just Pastor Maphosa, a father of 3 children, all of them grown up with homes of their own, grandfather of 6 grandchildren, very proud of them. So you can see I'm not young anymore. And I was married. My wife slept in the Lord in 2019. So we had been married for 41 years. So I think the 41 years gave me a little bit of an idea as to what happens in married life. So I not be exactly a novice when it comes to this. I know there are people who have been in this institution for much longer than that, but I put in my little 41 years with the sister. We were greatest of friends. I believe those of you who were our friends, you will attest to that. We were best friends. Yeah, she was the greatest. Anyway, that aside, I was asked by Elder Solombelo to also talk about background. That is what I'm going to talk about today, background. When he said to me that I should talk about background, my mind went back to those years at Solusi. I do remember that we were all theology students were required to do marriage dynamics. The argument was that how can you go and pastor without marriage dynamics? When people come to you for counseling, what are you going to tell them? And I do remember before you did that marriage dynamics, you were required to do an introduction to psychology and things like that. I've forgotten most of those things, but here is what I still remember. Dr. Zacchaeus Matema was our lecturer on that for that marriage dynamics. I remember one day he spoke about the geography of marriage. And I said to myself, geography of marriage, what is this thing about? Well, those of you who know him, he's quite an engaging speaker. He did justice to the topic. And so when I was asked to talk, my mind went back to that. I am going to take a little bit from that and then add some of what I have learned through the years. The geography of marriage, the 2 stories becoming one. When 2 stories become one, at last, when 2 stories become one, I've told you about Dr. Matema and the geography of marriage. He really impressed me. This is what he talked about. He would hang 2 maps, somewhere, and he would show us that when 2 people get married, it's like, 2 countries have come together. So that's what he would call the geography of marriage. This time we're looking at South Africa and we're also looking at Zimbabwe. This is the geography of marriage according to Dr. Matema. He says these are beautiful countries. 2 beautiful and powerful countries come together. And those days when he spoke about that, the economy of Zim was very good. It was very strong. Actually, the Zim dollar was stronger than the US dollar. And it is a fact. There was a time when the Zim dollar was stronger than the US dollar. For one Zim dollar, they would give you 2 US dollars. So that's when Dr. Matema would talk to us about the geography of marriage. Powerful countries coming together. He would say these are powerful countries, and he would say in each country there are beautiful gardens. And he would talk to us about a beautiful garden, the flowers, all kinds of flowers, and he would describe the gardens, all colors of flowers. Man, he would paint a picture in your mind showing you how a beautiful garden should look like. That was Dr. Matema. In a beautiful country, there are beautiful botanical gardens. And he would say also there are huge meandering rivers going through the country. That's a beautiful country as painted by Dr. Matema. He would also say there are undulating hills in a beautiful country. You go into the countryside, wow, those undulating hills, beautiful nature. You go out there, you enjoy yourself. You talk about majestic mountains in these countries. You know, each country has these majestic mountains. And he would also say in a country there are powerful, beautiful cities. And he would really take you there almost literally. And that's what he would do to us. Beautiful cities. And then after painting all these beautiful things, then Dr. Matema would say, well, if your country is a normal country, it has sewer systems. It has sewer systems. So he would say to us, when you bring in together two countries, you are bringing together all the beautiful things that I have explained, and you are bringing together also the sewer systems. And, he would go on to explain what the sewer systems were like and what the sewer systems were. He would tell us that no matter how beautiful your country is, it necessarily has sewer systems. Wherever human beings are found, there must be sewer systems there. He would say some systems are well maintained, resulting in healthy citizens. And if the systems are not maintained, the disaster results. There is disease erupts, cholera, etc., and all those diseases that come when sewer is not properly taken care of. Those diseases come in. He would say, when you bring in two human beings, a man and a woman, you bring them together in marriage, you bring in all the beautiful things, you bring in all the powerful things about these people, but you also of necessity bring in the sewer systems. If they do not know how to take care of their sewer systems, there's going to be cholera in that marriage, there is going to be sickness in that marriage. But if the sewer systems are well maintained, the citizens of that marriage will be happy. So we pick it up from where Dr. Matema left it. When two countries merge, each country brings with it everything that is in a country, both good and bad. When a man and a woman marry, they each bring everything from their family of origin. This family of origin, you'll hear me talking about this over and over again. When you get married, you bring in everything from your family of origin. Because if you were a car or a cup or a shirt, you would be made. There would be a small writing on you that says "made in your family of origin," because that's where all of us were made. And so when two people meet and they come from their different families of origin, they bring in everything from that family of origin. I read a story of a young lady who was getting married, and her husband was a very interesting character. He wanted to put across to the woman what the marriage really meant. And so on the wedding day, the wedding day comes. The wife's family comes, and the wife also gets there. She's not a wife by this time. So they all get there. The church is full. Then the groom's family walk in last. Everybody is seated down. The groom's family walks in last. The first one to walk in is the groom himself. Then his father follows, his mother follows, the brothers, the sisters, and then the aunts and so forth. All of them, as they come in, as they walk into the church, they are carrying huge suitcases, big suitcases, all of them. They are carrying suitcases. And as they sit there, they sit next to their suitcases. And the pastor starts, the ceremony starts, and finally they are joined together as husband and wife. And after they have been joined together as husband and wife, it's time for them now, when everything had been done, it's time for them now to go to their own place. In this case, they were going to a hotel, the honeymoon, and from honeymoon, they were going to go home. So as they were driving to their honeymoon, the family of the gentleman also follows them. They have rooms of their own in that hotel. As the honeymoon finishes and these people go back home, the family of the groom also drive to the same home. And then the girl says to the husband, now, I don't understand. What are your parents doing here? What is your family doing here? This is my home. This is my marriage. This is my life. The young man laughs and says, yeah, when you married me, you married everyone from my home. And so they all broke into laughter and they left. Fortunately, they didn't stay there. And when I read this story, I laughed. Well, it may not be that the family of your groom will come and literally live in the home, in your house, but they impacted your spouse so much so that even when they are absent, they are present. They trained him. They made him who he is. So when he marries you, when she marries you, she brings in everything, including those characteristics that she caught from those people. I hope you get my story. Because we all come from families. The families we came from shaped us significantly. They shaped the way we communicate. They shaped the way we resolve conflict. They shaped the way we express love. They shaped the way we show intimacy with our loved one. They shaped the way we trust, whether or not we should trust. Are we a trusting person or a person who does not trust? They gave us values. They gave us culture. The family of origin really made you. You are supposed to be written at your back there, made in the family of origin. There is no way you can run away from the family of origin. It gave you even a worldview. You see the world and understand the world as they taught you, as they shaped you to a very large extent. Yes, education came in. Yes, other things came in. Yes, the influence of friends outside the home came in. But those who molded you in those early years when you were still young, when your mind was like a sponge, thirsty to drink, that is your family of origin. So in your marriage, don't overlook the family of origin. When things are not going well between your spouse and yourself, think about family of origin. When you sit down to discuss issues or when there is a confrontation in the home, you should also look into how your spouse's family of origin shaped them. In other words, you should understand how your spouse how your spouse grew up, what the influences of his or her family of origin were like. Once you come to understand what it was like where they grew up, you will have a better idea of your spouse. Pastor, are you sure about that? Yeah, Yes, I think after 41 years of marriage, I have an idea. Oh, don't worry about FOO here. This is just me abbreviating family of origin. What we experienced in our family of origin set expectations for our marriages. Our family of origin experience becomes the blueprint for our marriages. What we saw, if mom and dad were those who hold hands after prayer, they hold hands when they go to sleep, when they go to their bedroom to sleep. Daddy gets up and says to the wife, wifey, come, let's go now. And wifey holds dad's hand and they move towards their bedroom. That's what you will expect also in your marriage. The family of origin really shapes you. It shapes you. And our family of origin experience became our blueprint for our marriage. This is what you expect to find in your marriage. Sometimes what you may expect to find that, but because your spouse did not grow up in a home where those things were highlighted, or where those things were emphasized, you become disappointed. Our family of origin it becomes the blueprint for our expectations in marriage. We have examples in the Bible. The family of origin is powerful. It really shaped some saints that we read about in the Bible. Abraham, of all the saints in the Bible, Abraham and Sarah. It says my internet connection is not stable. Abraham and Sarah. Abraham had an issue. When you read in Genesis 12, verses 14 to 12, there is something about Abraham, the father of faith, that is kind of disturbing to me. Abraham sometimes found it very difficult to tell the truth. You remember in Genesis 12, verses 14 to 20, he is in Egypt. And there he meets, actually, I was telling you about my son. So my son says to me, Daddy, these Ethiopian women are so beautiful. That girl, if I were to describe her to you, she is so beautiful. She is actually a work of art. Now, if you have ever seen a young man in love, I just say to myself, Sonny, you are really in love with this girl. Oh yeah, Sarah must have been a work of art. And so Abraham realizes that if I say to these Egyptians, she's my wife, they may kill me for her sake. And so Abraham says, no, man, I will tell a half truth. I will just say she's my sister. When you read the account in Genesis 12, they actually took Sarah away from Abraham. She went to the palace of Pharaoh. And of course, God looked after Pharaoh, because Pharaoh says to Abraham later, you know what? I could have, or one of the men or myself, I could have taken her as my wife. I could have taken her as my wife. So Abraham did not tell the truth. And again, you find in Genesis 20, verses 3 to 7, you find the same Abraham before Abimelech. He realizes again that my wife is very beautiful. He lies again to Abimelech, and he says to Abimelech, actually, she is not my wife, she is my sister. In both cases, the Lord had to intervene and tell the concerned kings that please don't touch her. She is the wife of a prophet. She is wife of my man. Okay, this was Abraham's problem. Just lying a little bit, a holy lie there, a little bit. Now look at what happened to Isaac. Isaac also is in the presence of Abimelech in Genesis 26, verses 8 to 11. And he also realizes that, Rebecca is a beauty, man. When she smiles, yo, these people may kill me for her. And Isaac also says to Abimelech, like what the father said, says, no, no, she is my sister, she is not my wife. You can see in these cases how the home environment shapes the person. I don't know that Isaac got instructions from Abraham that thou shalt lie when thou art in a tough corner. But somewhere as Abraham was narrating the story of his life, that must have come up, and Isaac must have caught it one way or another, because the influences of our homes shape us. Isaac's life was shaped by what happened in the life of his father. And so we find him lying exactly like what his father did. You also have Rachel. You remember Jacob had two wives. Jacob had two wives, Rachel and Leah. And now, Joseph, when he went to his uncle's place there and he saw Rachel, he instantaneously fell in love with Rachel, and he was going to marry her. The uncle says, work for her 7 years, and he gets cheated there. After 14 years, he lives with his wife. Actually, after 20 years of serving his uncle, he lives with his two wives and children that the Lord had given him. But I want you to take notice of what Rachel does. Rachel had seen what his father was doing. Rachel had seen, maybe his father thought he was hiding these things, because his father believed in Yahweh. His father believed in God, the same Jehovah, the same Yahweh that we believe in. His father Laban believed in the God of heaven, which was the reason why his mother, the mother of Jacob, sent him back to Laban so that he can marry a girl who is God-fearing. But Rachel had seen something that the father was doing. And so when Rachel was leaving her home, she must have said to herself, how am I going to live? What's life going to be without those things that protect my father, without those things that bring good fortune to my father, without those things that bring prosperity to my father? And so Rachel went to the father's tent or father's house and stole the household gods, because perhaps she had seen the father worshipping these household gods. Maybe she had heard the father talking about these household gods. She was shaped by what the father did. And so she stole the household gods. Even people in the Bible, the saints that we read about in the Bible, when you look closely at what happened in their homes, you will find that they were shaped by what happened in their homes. They were not excused from this. They were shaped by what went on in their homes. Rachel stole her father's gods. Perhaps she had seen him many times talking to these gods. Perhaps she had heard his father talking about the good fortune that is brought by those gods. So she stole the gods. Even in the Bible, your family background matters. It matters where you come from. We see Isaac reflecting or kind of giving us back what he saw his father do. We see Rachel also showing us or reflecting in her married life what he saw her father doing. What you see your parents doing, what you hear from your parents, that influences you so much. So that's what we see in the Bible. Your home of origin influences your religion. We see it in Rachel. We see it in Rachel. Your home of origin influences you or on money matters. Don't worry, there I misspelled the F-O-O. I said F-O-I. Don't worry, it's just the same. Those expectations from the family of origin. The family of origin influences your religion. It influences the way you see money. In some families, money is everything. You know, money is so much highlighted that the person grows up thinking that anyone who does not have money is not a person. The only person who's a person is one who has lots and lots of money. That's the influence of the family of origin. The family of origin also shapes you on how you use money. You know, whether you put something aside or whether you squander everything. One time you get it, it must be used. You get it, it must be used. The family of origin kind of influences you over that. The family of origin also influences how you view holidays. Hey, I was talking to some guys from home. This gentleman was confiding in me as a pastor. I will not share with you his name. He said to me, Pastor, I don't know how to convince my wife to go home with me during school holidays when children have closed schools. My wife has resolved that she will not go to my rural home with me on school holidays. She wants us to spend school holidays in town. And now, Pastor, I was brought up in such a way that school holidays, I must be at home, especially the December holidays. I want to be at home. Now, for the young man, going home to his parents during December, it meant he would help his parents plow the fields. It meant that he would be there, you know, having a good life with his parents, enjoying himself, visiting friends and relatives. That's where he grew up. Everybody knows him. But I listened to the same person, to the wife of this gentleman, as she confided with my late wife. She said, yeah, I know he has said that I don't want to go to his rural home during December holidays. And I'll tell you the reason why. Everybody comes home during that time. And I become the makoti there. I become the malogazana there. And when everybody is relaxing, I am by the fireside. I am cooking for everybody. When everybody has eaten, I'm the one who takes all those dirty dishes and I clean them up. And when everybody has soiled their clothes, I'm the one who does washing for everybody. I do not go there to rest. I go there to work hard. And after doing all those things, I also have the responsibility to go to the fields and help them as they work in the fields. So to me, holidays means going to slave at his place. So I've decided I am not going there. So I took that and I explained to the husband. Things changed. I don't know. Maybe he said to me, Pastor, I'll look at it differently to make me happy. I don't know. But those things, when you talk to this person, that's what his father did. That's what his father's father perhaps did. The way holidays are looked at. Some people look at holidays as time where you go on a holiday, both of you and your spouse and your children, get in the car, go to Durban, go to the sea, have a fantastic time there, enjoy yourself. That's holiday for some. But for some, as they look at that kind of a holiday, it's a big waste of money. That money could have been put to better use. All these things are shaped by the family that you come from. Birthdays, in some families, birthdays are celebrated, gifts are bought. You know, somebody's birthday becomes a big thing. The person is celebrated. There is singing, there is praising of God. To some people, it's not even mentioned. So when people come together and they come from different backgrounds, these are some of the things that bring about conflict in the home, because each person was shaped differently from the home of origin. Maybe in this person's home of origin, birthdays were nothing. They didn't take time to celebrate this. Oh yeah, you were born. That's okay. There's work to do, you know. But for some people, your birthday is a big day, presents and all. So that's what family of origin does. Wedding anniversaries. For some homes, wedding anniversaries are big things, gifts and everything. Going out to enjoy, eating out, going out to some nice hotel somewhere, spend a few days, just you and your spouse. For some families, that's a waste of time and money. We don't have, yeah, we got married, so what's that? Now it's time for us to look after our children. Work hard, look after the child. There's a lot of work to do. We could have made a few more bucks than wasting a few days out there with a wedding anniversary. Oh, but with some families, both spouses don't even go to work on that day. They stay home. It's their day. It's a great day. Most of these shaped by the home of origin or the family of origin. Communication styles. You know, in some families, communication is done by giving orders. You do this, you do that. That's the communication. Giving orders, instructions. Do this, do that. No, you didn't do well. You should do it this way. That's the communication. When you try to say no, but my way can work, but you don't listen to me. That's why things don't go well for you. You do not listen. Communication style. This person may be communicating that way because that's what they saw at home. Your home of origin influences the way you communicate. Your communication style reflects to a large extent what you saw at home. Roles. You know, roles. When I talk about roles here, I remember when I was pastoring at Bridge, my late wife was expecting. She was pregnant. She was really big, and our son was about to come. And Bridge is a very hot place, very hot in Bridge. And so we didn't have electricity in Bridge. We used firewood. You can imagine the place itself is already very hot, and we are using firewood. That means for ironing, we also had that iron, the old type where you put coals in the iron, you closed it, put it where there is a bit of wind so that the coals heat up the iron, and then you use that one. So I looked at my wife and I said, no. I'll do these things for her. So one time a visitor comes. Gogo Gasnigiwe comes home. They were just across the street from us. Finds me busy ironing. Busy ironing my clothes, my wife's clothes, ironing just before I go for my own appointments as a pastor. Ironing, putting things there. My wife is folding things and putting them away. I am doing the ironing, finish the ironing, go there, take the plates, clean them up, put them there. Then off I go. Then I come in the evening, my wife says, I had a difficult time with Gogo Gasnigiwe here. What did Gogo Gasnigiwe say? Says, no, my daughter, why don't you give me that, just a little bit of what you gave the pastor also? My wife says, no, like what? No, you know what I'm talking about. So a bit of stay soft to soften him up, so that he can also do the duties that I saw him doing. There are families where roles are so defined that this is no man worth his salt should ever be seen washing a plate or washing a pot. No, that's what women do. Men don't do that. No man worth his salt should ever be seen ironing clothes when the wife is there, ironing your wife's dress when she is sitting there. You cannot do that as a man. All of those things are influenced by the family of origin. And so if we have not sat down as a couple to talk about what happened in our different families of origin, these things may make our communication very difficult in our homes. So this family of origin impacts our marriages in different ways. Families of origin, you also have wounds, childhood wounds that date back to the family of origin. I could go a little bit deeper here, but I don't know who else is listening. There are childhood wounds, things that must never be said in our culture, things that must never be said. Those unresolved childhood wounds, that unresolved childhood trauma. You marry a person and they come with this trauma, you are in trouble. A person, yeah, their life will. Talking about this, let story. It was exactly a husband and wife thing. This year, I will not mention the name because it's a person that you know. That the father during the time of apartheid, her father was part of, I think, umkhonto wesizwe, and so they came looking for him, and they found him in the house. Time for evening prayer thereabout, when everybody is around, they just burst into the house and shot and killed him. They shot him. When she narrated the story to me, when they shot him, the brains and they actually kind of destroyed the head. The brains were scattered all over the house. And it was her unhappy privilege to clean up that. And because of that, this person would just find themselves crying for no reason. You are happy, you are seated there, and everything is okay, everything, and everybody is laughing, and all of a sudden she just feels like crying, and she cries. She cries. The husband would try and comfort her, but she would not be comforted. She would cry and cry until they came and they saw me. And when they saw me, I said to them, hey, this is beyond me. Why don't you go and see a professional counselor? They went and saw a professional counselor, and the lady was helped. There may be some unresolved childhood traumas. You don't know how to solve a certain problem, but it dates back to that early childhood. Some of the things that impacted us in our early childhood: neglect. Like I read about this. Both parents were working. Both parents were working, and a helper used to. She was left with this child to look after her. And what this helper would do when she wanted to go to the shops and so forth, she would take this little girl and put her in a cupboard and lock her in the cupboard so that she doesn't mess things up in the house. And so, sure, yeah, this little girl, when when the parents finally found out, this little girl was so traumatized. She was afraid of darkness. She was afraid. Yeah, you can imagine what she will be like when she is in her home if this thing is not actually resolved. Neglect. Some people are neglected by their parents. Their parents never take them seriously. Mommy, this is what happened to me today at school. Huh? We all went through school. It's like that, man. Those kinds of things. And then, of course, there is abuse. When a child is abused, who are they going to tell? First of all, they are embarrassed themselves that such a thing happened to them. And when they begin to open their mouth that so and so did this to me, the parents, those kinds of things. These are the things that affect us in our married life. And then there is parental conflict. Some parents are so careless. You find them arguing in front of their children. Yeah, you are like this. No, it's not me who is like that. You are like that 10 times. And so forth. And the poor children are sitting there looking at my father is like that 10 times. Oh, my father. The father says, now I'll beat you, I'll kill you. Then the little one says, my mother is going to die now. And all those things are happening before children. All those things will follow your child. They will follow them. There are many things that we can talk about. Unresolved trauma haunts you when you are grown up, may even get into your marriage negatively. Neglect. I could go into many stories about neglect. Some of us, I could tell you stories about myself as a neglected person, abuse, and so on and so on. These are the things that affect us in our married life. They leave scars that might impact one's ability to trust and connect with others. You know, attachment patterns. The way we attach to our parents or primary caregivers sets the stage for future relationships. Now, think of that girl whose home was the cupboard when the parents were not there. How will this impact her future relationships? The way we attach to our parents or our primary caregiver sets the stage for future relationships. Then the next one is, if you grow up feeling secure and loved, you are likely to bring those positive expectations into your marriage. If things were good at home, you felt secure and you were loved, you are likely to go with that to your married life. There will be, yes, it will be nice to live with you in your home. If you experienced insecure attachment as a child, you might struggle with intimacy as an adult. It is true. If you experienced insecure attachment as a child, you couldn't quite attach, it wasn't regular. Sometimes you were loved, sometimes you were not loved. So that will affect you in your adult life. The flip side of that is, if you were not secure as a child and now you are married, you could be too clingy. So our families of origin, they really affect us. And then, of course, there are projection issues that stem back from the family of origin. It is common for people to project their childhood fears and insecurities onto their spouse without realizing it. This is very common. Your insecurities, like for instance, you'll find the husband and wife are in town, they are doing shopping, they're shopping for furniture. The wife sees a beautiful set, says, "Hey, honey, I want, this is the one, this is the one." The husband looks at it and says, "What? 20,000 or 40,000? You're crazy. Can a person really spend that much on furniture? Do you know how we grew up? Do you know, then there it goes. There it goes. What started off as a small thing, furniture, the wife wanted that one, it ends up as a fight. Now, my lack of money as I was growing up is now projected into this relationship, and without me realizing where it came from. Understanding these projections helps couples see each other more clearly and compassionately. If my wife understands that, the way I grew up, things were tight, that will understand her when that will make her understand me when I start saying to her, "No, no, no, this is too expensive. We cannot. This is wasting money. Actually, how can we buy a table for so much money?" Projection issues. These are the things that we carry from our family of origin. Emotional intimacy and family of origin dynamics. How we were raised plays a big role in how we handle emotions in our adult relationships. If you were a darling at home and you got away with everything, and if you were a crybaby used to throwing temper tantrums, and everybody would just let and your parents would just not control you, leave you like that, you will carry these temper tantrums into your home. It's very unfortunate. If we were raised, the way we were raised plays a big role in how we handle emotions in our adult relationships. From family of origin, we learn whether it's okay to show feelings or keep them hidden. In some homes, it's not. When you cry as a man, they say, "Amadoda awakali," men don't cry. So as a man, when you feel like You find another way of expressing your feelings and not crying. We learn a lot from family of origin. We learn whether it's okay to show feelings or not, or no. When you cry, they say you are a woman, as if God created emotions for women and for us, no emotion at all. These are things that hurt us in our married life. If your family of origin was open about emotions, you will find it easier to express yourself with your partner. Now, these are some of the things, there are many things that I left off. I read and read and read, and these are some things that I just picked up that affect us from family of origin. Um, how do I read this one now? Whatever the heading is there, the screen thing is hiding there. Recognizing and dealing with dysfunctional behaviors. We inherit ways of dealing with conflict from family of origin. And some of the ways of dealing with conflict are avoidance. There is conflict, we must talk about this, the thing, but you were taught at your home that a woman never talks. Actually, you were even given illustrations or told stories of a woman who won her husband over by drinking and keeping water in her mouth without swallowing it, so that when her husband spoke, she would not speak back because she would not talk back because she has water in her mouth. Avoidance. Or shutting down during an argument. You are talking about something, and all of a sudden, you are not talking. The thing is not solved at all, but you are just not talking. You are avoiding to talk about the thing. So there is avoidance. These are the things that we saw at home. Avoidance, and then the person, because they have no one to talk to, they may walk away and leave you there. And the problem is not solved. Then there is aggression, yelling instead of talking. Being aggressive. I'll beat you up now, because that's what you saw your daddy doing at home. When mommy began to come up with strong points that were really, showing him that he made mistakes, he'd say, hey, be quiet, man, I'll beat you up. Yeah, and the problem is not solved. The wife will be quiet because she doesn't want to be beaten, but the problem still remains unsolved. And now listen to what Dr. Matema used to say to us. He would say, there is no one who was created by God to be quiet all the time when there is during conflict, actually. He would say there is no one. Even the most quiet people who never talk, he says, even if they don't say anything through their mouth, but in their heart they are talking. Says they'll take it today, they'll take it tomorrow, they'll take it the day after, but the day they are full, the day their cup is full, they are going to explode, and the explosion will smell all over the world. People will hear that there's been an explosion there, and that might be the end of your home. So aggression, so avoidance, shutting down, it doesn't work. Aggression also doesn't work because it makes the other person not to talk. It leaves the issue, untouched. So identifying these patterns is the first step towards change. If you are a person who uses avoidance and your spouse on a nice day tells you now, no, but this is what you do, and you realize it, this is the first step towards change. When you realize that what you do is actually stopping any progress in terms of solving the conflict. Yelling doesn't help either. So no yelling, no avoidance. Sit down, look at the issue, deal with the issue, and be over with it. Well, in the Bible, there are other people who decided to do things differently from their fathers. Some decided to do the very opposite towards the negative, and others saw what their parents were doing, and they went the opposite direction towards the positive, which actually, when I read, showed me that as a human being, you are free. You can live in a home where your father beats up your mother, and you make a resolution in your heart that when I grow up, I will never beat my wife. And you actually get to your own marriage, and you live happily with your wife, and you never beat her. So it is not like we are locked into these things. There is no way out. No, it's the decision that one makes. While that spoke to you as you saw it, you made a decision when you saw it at that time, and you still have the power to make a decision, and the decision is to be the very opposite of what you saw. You know, Hezekiah, the father of Manasseh. You remember the story of Hezekiah in the Bible? Hezekiah was a good king. He was a reformer in Israel. He was an excellent, God-fearing king. This is the only man that I know who, when God said to him, "You're about to die, put your house in order and be ready to die." And he said, "God, I don't want to die. Please don't let me die." And God listened to him and reversed his decision and gave him more life and more years. So he was a good man, good talking terms with God. But his son Manasseh, the one who grew up in his home, of all sinners that I've read about in the Bible, no one beats this one. You read this in 2 Chronicles 32 and 33. You read about Manasseh. You read about Hezekiah. Hezekiah, a good king, a reformer. Manasseh should have seen all the good things that his father did, and of course took after his father and became an even better king. But no, he became the worst king in Israel. This guy was so bad. He even sacrificed his own children in the fire, in the hands of Moloch. He killed his own children. He was so bad. He was a wizard. A wizard. That's what he was. He is. We could talk about him the whole day. But he did the very opposite of what his father was. Josiah, remember King Josiah? Also a good king, father of Jehoiakim. Jehoiakim. Yeah, it should be an N at the end there. Jehoiakim. We read about him in 2 Chronicles 36. He also grew up in the home of a good father. But this man, when he was fully grown, he became the very opposite of what his father was. He became a wicked king also. There are many such examples in the Bible where the home influence seems not to have had any impact on the person, or the impact that it had was the person to become the very opposite of what they saw, which gives us hope that even if we grew up under homes where things were not okay, we can still choose to live our lives differently. See, these examples teach us that a person can choose to be different from what the family of origin was like. In other words, you don't have to be like your family of origin. I really praise God that I can be who I am. I was raised by a stepfather, and I never saw him expressing, or holding hands with my mom. He was never a tender man. He was always an aloof person. But you can choose to be what you want to be in your own home. Okay? How do you break the cycle? You first thing, acknowledge the problem. Yeah, look at the problem. And for you to acknowledge the problem, that means there's been a discussion. Talk about these things at home. Don't avoid, don't yell. Sit down and talk. Yeah, acknowledge the problem. Number 2, seek help. Yes, even us men, especially us men, seek help. I have had many people come to me and said, "Pastor, there is an issue." And normally it's ladies. When I say, bring your husband, husbands simply won't come. They won't come. They don't want to seek help. Even when they are sick, for that matter. For a man to accept that they are sick, they need to go and seek help, go to a doctor. It's when they are almost dying. Brothers, please seek help We are human. We need help. We don't know everything. Seek help. There are people who can help you. And then when they have talked to you there where you have sought help, practice the new skills that you learned from there. Practice them. Put them into practice. Things will change. Then create a supportive environment that encourages open communication. At your own home, create this supportive environment that encourages open communication. Then, of course, trust God to change you. Trust God to change you because He is able. In the Bible, in 2 Corinthians 5, 5 verse 17, the Bible says, therefore, if any man, of course, this is King James Version, man there is generic. So if any man or woman for that matter is in Christ, he is a new creature. Old things are passed away. Behold, all things are become new. This verse signifies that or says that a person in Christ experiences a spiritual transformation, becoming a new creature where their former life and ways are left behind and replaced by something entirely new. And the word that is used there for new is the word kainos. Now, kainos means brand new, has never been experienced before. So new that even your spouse will be shocked that you are so transformed. If any person is in Jesus Christ, they become so brand new that even the devil asks questions. Is it that same person? Yes. If you are in Christ Jesus, He can make a new person out of you. The Bible also in Matthew says to us, 11 verse 28, come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. This verse is an invitation from Jesus to all people who are weary and burdened, people who are struggling with issues that come from the family of origin. Jesus says, come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, I will give you rest. It is Jesus who is the author of marriage. It is Jesus who can transform a marriage that is unhappy into a happy marriage. So let's take our challenges and put them at the feet of the cross, and Jesus will sort out our problems. So this is the story, or this is a summary of what the family of origin, the issues that emanate from the family of origin look like, and also how some suggestions as to how the issues can be handled, and also not to forget that sometimes we need to go and see specialists, those who have trained to work with us. And we also to be reminded that our God is still God. There is nothing that is above Him. He is able to change a person. That's why the Bible says, if any man be in Christ, they become a new creature. And if you are heavy laden, struggling with these things, Jesus says, come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, I will give you rest. So my brothers and sisters, rest is found in Jesus. Let's take our things to Jesus. And those that we must take to human beings for counseling, let's take them to human beings for counseling, and we will get the help that we need. May God bless us as we think on these things.